this tutorial, you will learn how to create a frequency distribution and histogram in Excel 2016. The first step is to select our column of interest, copy it, add a new sheet, and paste it there. Our next step is to determine an appropriate bin size for our data. To do this, we need to find out what the minimum and maximum values of our data are, using the functions min, and then selecting that column, and max. We want between 5 and 15 bins, and the appropriate number of bins just depends on how much data we have. For a smaller amount of data, 5 might be more appropriate, and for a larger amount of data, 15 might be more appropriate. In this case, we're going to try and go for between 5 and 15 bins and closer to 10. So a bin size of 2 seems like it would meet this standard. Excel only wants to know the upper limits of each of our bins. So this is what we will give it. Our first bin, since our lowest value is 59, we'll need to include 59 and then also 60, since our bin size is 2. That's 2 whole numbers. So we'll just give it the upper limit of 60. And then the next bin will be from 61 to 62. So we'll just write the upper limit of 62, and then 64, and so on until we cover all the bins. This gives us 9 bins for our data. Now we can use the Data Analysis Tool Pack to create the frequency distribution and the histogram. So click on Data and open the Tool Pack. And if you do not see the option for the Data Analysis Tool Pack, you need to go back to the handout that instructs you on how to install the Data Analysis Tool Pack on your computer. Then we'll select from the list Histogram, click OK. And the first thing we need is our input range. This is the range of our data. So here it's this entire first column. Then the bin range are the upper limits that we just created. And notice I'm including the words in both of these columns. So I'm going to check the labels button so that our data will be labeled. I'm going to output my data into this same sheet. So I'll just start it here. And then in order to get the histogram, we need to check the chart output box. And then click OK. So here's our distribution and our histogram. The next thing we need to do is just clean this up a little. I'm going to drag the corner to make it a little bigger. I'm going to click on the frequency and delete it just by hitting the delete key. Then I can update my chart by removing this more, which will automatically be populated by Excel, by clicking on the bars, which will highlight the data on the left, and then you can drag these columns up to remove that section. Now next you'll notice that these bars are not touching, as is characteristic in a histogram. So double click on the bars and that'll bring up the Format Data Series menu. First we need to change the gap width by dragging it down to 0, which you can see has now removed the gaps from my chart. The next thing we want to do is adjust our titles. So just click on the title and then double click in the box, and we can name this height because that's what we're displaying on the bottom. And then we can title our histogram distribution of heights.